Welcome to V8 Nation, talking all things motorsport with Rick Kelly and Paul Dumbrell.
Welcome back to V8 Nation with Rick Kelly and Paul Dumbrell. In the next segment, boys, I've got an email here. We spoke a little bit about the most remote listener of V8 Nation, and you guys are going to throw a little merchandise pack. Now, I'll be honest, first contestant, v8nation@crockmedia.com, if you'd like to get involved. First contestant's email through, going to be very, very, very hard to beat.
Is it overseas?
It is overseas.
No
Really?
way.
But have also requested their own prize. Not happy with what you're willing to dish out, but...
A date with yourself?
No. Oh, yeah.
Very interesting.
No, that would be interesting, but no, that's not it. But we'll see what it is very shortly. But we've got someone a little bit more important right now, PD, because Rico was a little upset last week when you were guaranteeing and bringing in guests to the show, and Rick thought, I'm going to spend the next 7 days working on something a little bit better to outdo PD. So, Rico, I reckon you might have done it, mate.
Absolutely. We've got Hayley joining us. Although PD thought this segment was actually going to be a fitness test by what he's wearing, it's a bit of an interview with Hayley. Now, Hayley, off the show, Hayley Swanson off our TV show,
Yes.
Shannon's Supercar Showdown. Now, unfortunately voted out on the weekend, or eliminated, I should say. But how did you enjoy the show?
It was so much fun. Every challenge that we did, I was just really enjoying it, and as well as finding them challenging, it was really good to see, what it does take to become a successful V8 supercar driver. So
we wouldn't know. So we're just setting challenges up to the best we could. But how long have you been involved in motorsport? I mean, the show this year is probably a little bit different to what motorsport in Australia has seen in the past, and we'll go into what you thought of that in a minute. But how long have you been involved, and what sort of racing have you been doing before that?
I've been racing a Subaru WRX probably since 2007. I started off in sprints, and then I got into state level racing, the Victorian Motor Racing Championships, and then just this year I was picked up to race in the FW1 Aussie Racing Cars Series, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
and
very eventful weekend a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff happening at Queensland Raceway, but they're awesome little cars to drive, and I'm really loving it.
Have you had a go?
I drove one back at Calder Park when they were actually the Legend Series, back the old FJs, which so they've obviously changed a little bit from them, but it was so much fun.
They're such a ball to drive, aren't they?
I actually drove one with Barry Ryan.
Really?
Actually go to work tomorrow and ask him exactly how it went down, because I won't lie to you, he actually went quicker than me. I was pretty young, and I didn't actually even have my road car licence at this stage. But anyway, we'll move on to that. It's a completely different story. But so what got you, into motorsport? What's obviously, at quite a late age, for I guess general motorsport. You're very young.
Kicking my parents that they didn't start me earlier. I actually was never really into motorsport. I was more into riding horses and competing horses, and it was only probably 2006 when Dad got a Subaru WRX, and he just took me out on the track with him. I've always been a bit of a tomboy, and I really enjoyed it. And then just through meeting the right people, we all just sort of got into racing, and they encouraged me to do it. And I've never looked back. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And the Aussie racing cars, so you've had a ball this year, your first year in the series.
Yeah, the first year. It's very difficult getting a handle on those sort of cars. They're a lot of fun to drive, but you can see that it takes a lot of practice and a lot of track time to get a good handle on the cars. And they're so much different from a Subaru WRX, they're completely different cars, yeah, sure. So I guess getting a handle on that too. But I'm pretty happy with how I'm going so far, and hopefully, next year we'll even get even better. So,
Rico, are you going to put on a rap party? I know how much you love to party, and we'll actually talk a little bit later on about Vanilla Slice. Or, we've touched on it earlier, but we'll talk a bit more about Vanilla Slice and how much you love to go out and have a quiet beverage. Are you going to put a wrap-up party for all the contestants on?
Well, it's been a lot of filming and quite an intense number of weeks with everyone in the one spot, and it's been very busy, and it's quite new to not only the contestants but Todd and myself. So, look, I think we should get everyone together before everyone goes their own way after the show, and have one or two drinks and reminisce about the good times we had during the show. Like I say, before everyone heads off.
That would be great, because we weren't actually allowed to drink during the show, so it'd be nice to finally,
that was my next question.
Yeah, we're in training, and so...
How strict was it being, you hear a lot of rumours about reality TV shows, what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
Not, MasterChef, you weren't allowed to take your mobile phones in. What was it like being part of the Supercars Showdown, and obviously, were you allowed to take your mobile phone? Were you allowed to go out and dinner or outside of, I guess, the compound?
We were really restricted with what we could, obviously we had our phones with us, but we weren't really allowed to talk to anyone about it, and it was kind of hard with people asking all the time. But we had the alcohol ban, but I guess we were trying to be our best all the time, so we didn't really want to be drinking.
Yeah, sure.
I know at one stage we had Amber over and a few of the guys over, and I made her a water in a wine glass, and we actually had one of the people come in and sort of tell us off thinking we were drinking wine, which we weren't, but it just made us feel a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah, great.
Oh, Rico had everybody tuned. If anyone has any type of beverage, alcoholic without him around, he gets very upset. Yeah. Oh.
No, there was Red Bull. I did supply Red Bull.
Red Bull and Mars bars, I heard went
so many
very
Mars
well.
bars.
Hey, look, it was great that, as Rico touched on, though, you all got on very well, but there would have been times that people really annoyed you on the show. Anyone that really just, you thought, you know what, I don't like this person. Outside of Rick and Todd, obviously.
There were a few of the guys. I'm sure everyone that's been watching the show knows. I think the guys were more bitchy than the girls. The guys were getting a little bit more emotional than the girls, actually. I think we could hold ourselves a lot better and, not feed into all that sort of, bitching of each other. But I guess my mum's always told me if people are picking on me that it's because they like me. I don't know how true that is, but...
So how many people did pick on you in the show then?
Well, it turns out a few of them
Well,
after watching it on tally.
So you had some admirers then.
It's quite amazing watching it, and we're speaking about it pre-show, is that, people showing their true colours. And motor racing is such a game of being professional, dealing with sponsors, and I guess the other side of motorsport. And yes, it's a reality TV show, and yes, people are trying to obviously, be seen in their best light. But some people really sort of, actually showed what their true colours, which is great for the show because it shows the true person. But from a sponsor's perspective, you'll sit back and look at that person and go, would I want that person representing my brand?
Exactly. To date, in the whole show, I've been very, very surprised. You would think that the guys would just let their driving speak for themselves and not get too competitive against females and the other guys out there. But exactly like you said, instead of shutting their mouth and doing the job in the car, they're actually more worried about psyching the girls out when there was really no need to. Like that's not going to get anything but frowned upon when we look at it. So it was very interesting.
You really had 9 competitors. It wasn't like girls and boys. And then the day, everyone was up against everyone else, and it seemed that a couple of guys were more worried about what the girls were doing rather than what they're actually, what they were looking like.
Yeah.
You certainly had a few good-looking guys on there who certainly rated themselves a little bit, Rico, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think the guys might have spent a bit more time in front of their mirror than the ladies.
I think you're right.
I heard a few of the guys had their hair straighteners with them, so it wasn't just us.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not going to mention any names here.
Oh, you should mention names.
Absolutely. Hey,
Rick Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone borrows
My hair's
Rick
not
when-
long enough. Don't worry. Don't worry about that.
I've had a lot of friends after I've been eliminated on Facebook and stuff, just saying, "Oh, we're gonna get that guy." Like they're really not happy with it, and I guess it's really not a really good thing for sponsors to see.
Definitely.
And motorsport, even though it's competitive, you can still have fun with each other, and you don't have to
definitely.
really knock each other to do well.
Yeah, and now that the show's over for yourself, you've finished up last week. What do you think's on the plate for you, not only for the rest of this year, but next year? And how have your friends and family enjoyed the show? It's something a bit new for yourself.
My friends and family have loved the show. I think that watching other people sort of have a crack at me, they've taken it, a bit more seriously than I have, especially when they weren't there at the time. They're pretty protective over it. But I guess this year I'm just really want to focus on the Aussie Racing Cars series. It's it's going to take a few good years for me to learn how to drive the cars, and I'm really enjoying the series. So.
And what races have you got left in that?
We've got Phillip Island coming up.
Yeah.
That'd be a great race.
Fast
Aussie
track.
Racing car.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Well, I've never driven Phillip Island,
Really?
so it should be fun.
Yeah,
Any
it's very
advice?
good. It's a fast
advice?
track. It's just nice and flowing. Just hold it flat.
Flat the whole way.
Let me know when you do that. I'm going to go watch. No.
I hear it's got nice ocean views.
It has.
Down
Yeah.
the main straight, absolutely. And when it's windy, certainly in the V8, when it's quite windy down there, it actually throws the cars around quite a lot. So with the Aussie Racing cars being a little bit smaller, it would certainly,
affect
certainly
them.
be pretty difficult. Now, before we finish up, we spoke about a couple of weeks ago about Queensland Raceway and I guess the shenanigans that went on there at the start line. Talk us through what happened. Where were you when it all came? I guess at Croppers really. Were you mid pack and did you see Phil Ward drive up to the front and then drive backwards and people doing U-turns?
I didn't qualify the best. I think I was about 28th or something, so sort of more towards the back. We had a field of about 42 cars, so it's a pretty big field.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
big.
But I saw Phil. He had pulled over on the siding lap to let them know there was oil on the track, and they hadn't really done anything about it. So I guess to him, he thought the only way that he could sort of protect his category from having a potential accident was to drive up to the front.
Yeah.
I hadn't actually noticed he'd driven up to the front, and there was a few issues with the lights going off, and so half of us thought that we were meant to
The
go.
race started.
Then we didn't have reverse gear, so we had to like go around back onto the track, and so it was a bit messy. But I guess with all respect to Phil Ward, at the time he thought that that's
Yeah, he was
what
doing the
he
right
should
thing
be
for the
doing.
category.
And
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's his, if
Yeah,
he doesn't
definitely.
want 10 cars piling into one corner and all smashing up. So
Yeah, sure.
I guess it was a risk. But yeah, that was the only messy race we had, thank God, for this year.
And Ken Block, last weekend you managed to
Yes,
sneak down to that. How was that?
That was so much fun. I was so excited. I've been pumped for weeks. So Monster sponsored Ken Block coming down to Calder Park. And it was a really big event. And Ken Block went around and took people out for rides. And I got his signature, his autograph, which I was really, really excited about. And he's actually got a life-size cutout in the Monster storage area. So I've already bagged that one going into our house. But yeah, it was so much fun. And everyone that got in the car with him is so lucky because, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Yeah,
And big crowd?
Huge crowd,
Yeah.
yeah.
Had 7,000 people there. They actually stopped
Really?
selling tickets on the
Oh,
Saturday.
they sold out really quickly.
Everyone should actually go log online and YouTube the Ken Block videos. It is phenomenal. His car control is just something you
It's
haven't
crazy.
seen before. I hadn't really, I heard a lot about him. I hadn't actually watched a video. Watched it last week and was actually blown away. And the latest one he's done is actually around Universal Studios in LA. And it's going through the most famous sets. You see himself sliding past Jaws as it's going by. It's a phenomenal thing. So
Very good.
make sure everyone log online, YouTube, and have a look at the Ken Block.
Is that at Ken Block?
And give us some feedback at V8 Nation on Twitter as well. So
There it is.
I'm all over it this week.
It is,
so
it
just
is
doing your job for
amazing.
yourself, Cam.
It is amazing how well you're doing. Hayley, we appreciate you joining us here at V8 Nation.
Thanks for having me.
This is V8 Nation with Rick Kelly and Paul Dumbrell.